Okay, as I start this video, bear with me because I'm going to use an online calculator to actually do a lot of these calculations because my calculator on my computer does not do the trick. But, that being said, um, let's try this out. Anyway, first let's do the first couple of things, which is angle of elevation. Okay, so what we're going to do is word problems. Angle of elevation means that you are at a fixed point on the ground and you are looking up. Okay, that's what angle of elevation means. Okay, angle of depression means you are looking down. Okay, so you're looking down, and X is right here. Now, what's great about both of these things is they technically mean the same thing. Alright? So, the angle of elevation, even though it means from the ground looking up, it's still in this spot, while angle of depression's right here, it's looking down, but since these two lines are actually parallel, it's still technically the angle of elevation. Okay? So, the whole idea behind this is that we have to be able to set up a word problem and be able to solve for it. So, this is a little tricky. Alright. You're always going to start out with a right triangle. We're always going to pretend that you're going to put the whatever it is, the angle right here. Okay, the angle's always going to go right there because it's either going to be angle of elevation or angle of depression. Either way, the angle goes right there. Now, the next part just takes some thinking. A lighthouse sits on top of a sheer cliff. The top of the lighthouse is 33 meters above sea level. The angle of depression of a small fishing boat at sea, or to sight a small fishing boat at sea is 24 degrees. How far from the base of the cliff is the fishing boat to the nearest meter? Alright, so let's use a little common sense. Lighthouses on a rock means that it's standing up and down. Okay? Standing up and down, that means that the one thing that we're going to be using is this. It tells us the height of this thing is 33 meters. Then, it's asking for how far from this lighthouse is this little boat over here, because that's the only way you really measure distance. You're not going to measure distance like this, so think of logically, which side would we use are we trying to find? Right here seems logical, the side that we were trying to find. Okay, this is hard just to set this up. What's a little bit harder is trying to remember what is the correct trigonometric function that we're going to use. This is where our theta is, or degrees are. This is our opposite side. This is the adjacent side. So of the three different things, okay, so it's either sine, cosine, or tangent. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent is opposite over adjacent. So first we got to identify which one of these are we going to use. Alright, well it's opposite and adjacent, so obviously we had to be using tan. The next thing is to set up to solve. We say that tangent of 24 degrees, alright, so it's 24, equals the opposite side, which is 33 degrees, over this side right here. Alright, now I'm going to show you the long cut when the x is on bottom, and then the shortcut when the x is on bottom. The long version is this. First, we need to get rid of this x out of the bottom. How we do that is you multiply by x on both sides. Okay, that gives me x times tangent of 24 equals 33. Then I'd have to get the x by itself, so I'd have to divide by tangent of 24 on both sides. What you'll notice is we now have x equals 33 divided by the tangent of 24. Okay, now this is how you solve this. If you were to do it from the beginning, if you see an x on the bottom and this right here, you can actually just flip their spots. Because that's technically all we did, was we flipped the x and the tangent. If you need to go through this whole drawn out stuff, cool, it's up to you. Alright? So now, we need to put this in our calculator. All you gotta do is put in 33 divided by the tangent of 24. So I'm going to take 33, I'm going to divide it by hold up. So, tangent of 24. Okay. Oh, sorry. So 33 divided by the tangent of 24 equals 74. So x equals 74. As I said before, my equations aren't going to be, I'm not going to be able to solve these as fast because of the fact that I have to use a calculator on a computer because I forgot the scientific or the graphing calculators at school. Okay, next one. If you were in a hot air balloon 400 meters over something British Columbia, at what angle of depression would you look at a point on the ground 700 meters horizontally from the balloon? Alright, step 1. Height. Height is always this side right here, this little side right here, okay? So this is 400 meters. Horizontally, that means not this way, horizontally is right here. And as I said before, the angle is always going to be here, whether it be elevation or depression. Technically it should be here, but since these are the same, we can just put the x right there. Now, what it's asking for is what's this angle. So, what we know is this is opposite, this is adjacent. So the only thing that is opposite and adjacent, once again, is tangent. So we say tangent of some number equals 400 over 700. Now, this is where that -1 thing comes in. So what we're going to do is you put this in your calculator. Okay? To do this, what we had to do is now get x by itself. To do this, this is what we had to do. You have to take the tangent of -1 and the tangent. Okay? So what this does is it crosses those two ideas out. So what we do to one side, we had to do to the other. So it ends up being just x equals tangent of -1, 400 over 700. So if you put in your calculator second tan and you put 400 over 700 in it, you should be able to get the same number as me. If you don't get the same number as me, that means that something went wrong. So, whoops, where is my... Okay, so we're going to do 400 over 700. What the heck? Okay, sorry. It's going to take a little bit. So, 4 divided by 7, 100.5714. Okay. 0.5714. Why is this not typing? 0.5714. Calculate that. Okay, so you should be getting about 30 degrees. So your answer to that should be about 30 degrees. Next one. DJ is trying to figure out the height of a nearby building. Okay, he knows that he is 500 meters away from the building with an angle of elevation of 45 degrees. So he knows he's 500 meters away, and he's trying to figure out the height of this building. And we know that this is 45. Now, unfortunately, all these examples have been tangent, so sometimes you will use sine, sometimes you'll use cosine, but in these first 3 examples, you did not. So, this is opposite, this is adjacent, so let's just do this. So, you're going to have tangent of 45 equals opposite, which is x, over 500. Okay, we need to get x by itself, so you multiply it by 500. So that's just 500 times tangent of 45. Which, if you do that, believe you should just get 500. So the answer should just be 500. Alright. Next one. Okay. A kite is flown 45 meters above the ground, so you know flown above the ground is going to be 45 meters. Okay. And is a 56 meter diagonally from the kite to a person on the ground. So the kite's up here. It's 45 meters. It's 56 meters diagonally. That's what it's going to give you away, is that diagonal part to the ground. What is the angle of elevation? Meaning, what is this angle here? Okay, so you know opposite, and we know hypotenuse. Opposite and hypotenuse is sine, so let's set this up. Sine of x equals 45 over 56. Meaning, what we're going to do is find sine -1 of sine of x equals sine -1 of 45 over 56. So once again, you're going to press second sine to be able to get to that, which means that x equals sine -1 of 45 over 56. And when you do that, let me quickly figure this out. 0.8035. 0.8035. Let's calculate that, and we get about 53 degrees. Okay. Last one. Kendra, walk diagonally across a rectangular field that is 45 meters by 65 meters to the nearest degree. At what angle? At what angle was, with respect to the longer side, did she walk? Okay. I know this is a little confusing, but Kendra's walking diagonally on a field that is 45 by 65. Now, that means she's walking diagonally across a rectangular field. Okay? 45 by 65. You always measure by the outside edges. Even though it says diagonally, it does not give us a length of the diagonal, so we don't actually know that. And it's asking you for this thing. Once again, we have tangent because it's opposite over adjacent. So I'm just going to shortcut this to tangent -1 of 45 over 65. I'm just going to tell you this right now, folks. If you ever find an angle, you always need that -1 thing. If you don't have it, then you're not doing it correctly. So, let's figure this out. 45 divided by 65 equals 0.6923. .6923 is about 35 degrees. Okay. So what I want you guys to do is do all these trig word problems. They're going to start right here, and they're continue on your worksheets. And when you're finished, let me know.